thank you all for being here today. It's my privilege indeed to introduce someone who probably needs no introduction at all to this audience, the President of the University of California, Robert Dines. As you know, President Dines has been traveling around the state. Over the last 14 months, he's visited all 10 campuses of the University of California. And of course, coming back to San Diego is coming home for Bob. We're very pleased when he included us on this tour, and pleased as well that we see him every once in a while. He continues every once in a while with his personal trainer, keeping in shape for the 5K run, of which he was an originator and a continued participant. We hope that we'll see him in the fall for the 10th anniversary of the Chancellor's 5K run. But more than that, he has been responsible for many of the outstanding achievements over the last half-decade at this university. President Dines really is one of us. He needs no introduction, but I'll give you one anyway. He's a physicist who came to UCSD in 1991 after a distinguished career at Bell Labs for 22 years, where he won the Fritz London Award, a very prestigious award within physics. He served as professor of physics, chair of the physics department, as senior vice chancellor for academic affairs before he was named the 6th chancellor of UCSD. In 2001, he was elected to the Council of the National Academy of Sciences, that's the governing board, a society to which he was elected in 1989. He then served as vice chairman of the University of California's President's Council on National Laboratories, and is a member of the National Security Panel. Since he became the 18th president of the University of California in 2003, he has pursued many of the same goals in which he led this university, focusing on increased innovation and greater diversity among students, staff, and faculty, developing closer ties with the community, and improved services for the public. So we are very fortunate today to have President Dines visit with us in a town hall meeting format, an informal way by which you can ask questions and raise issues, and I'm also very interested in hearing what some of those questions and interests are. So please join with me in welcoming President Robert Dines.
It's really a pleasure to be back home again, and I do regard San Diego as home. I won't tell you all the details as to why, but it's really nice to be back home to a climate which is actually livable. As Marianne said, I've spent the last year and 2 or 3 months traveling the state, actually traveling more than the state, spending some time in other places where the University of California has some impact, has some influence, has students, has faculty. And the reason I wanted to do that was to try to understand firstly, what the University of California does and how it affects California, and to see what opportunities were there, what we should be doing as we move forward. And it was an unbelievable education for me. It was just astounding. I visited with farmers in Central Valley, loggers up north of Redding, CEOs in Irvine, Silicon Valley, here in San Diego, up in the Bay Area, students in suburbia, students in cities, students in rural areas, doctors, lawyers, the entertainment industry. It just went on and on. And I'll summarize very briefly what I learned, and then perhaps go into a few more details on some of the things, because it's a long story. What I learned is that the University of California has impact in virtually every aspect of life here in California, from the food you eat, to the air you breathe, to the highways you drive on, to the jobs, that our students go to, the companies that we create, to the movies you watch for better or for worse, to the music you listen to. It's everywhere. It's remarkable. And the other thing I learned is there is no single, simple California. California is made up of enormously diverse groups of people, areas, states of mind. The Central Coast is enormously different from the Imperial Valley, which is different from the North State, Redding and North, which is different from the Los Angeles area, which is different from the Bay Area. And people think differently in different parts of California. Their expectations are different. Their desires of what the University of California can do for them are different. And yet the one thing that brings all this together is that you realize that people rely, whether they even know it or not, rely enormously on what you and I do. Whether you're a student, whether you're faculty, whether you're staff, whether you're a graduate student, whether you're a researcher, they rely enormously. And a lot of people know this, a lot of people don't know this. 2/3 of the physicians in California are trained in the University of California. And people don't think very much about that. But as I traveled, I came to realize that there are areas where the health care that is delivered is really first rate, and there are other areas where there's an appalling lack of health care that's delivered. And people are hoping and relying that the University of California will do something about that. I've been amazed by the diversity of the state. 57% of our students, University of California students, either were not born in the United States or one of their parents were not born in the United States. There's nowhere else in the world that draws on such a broad diversity of people. And yet, we're not diverse enough, as a lot of you would recognize. We don't reflect all of California. We don't reflect, I mean, people in Redding were very upset that they don't place more students in the University of California. People in the San Joaquin Valley are deliriously excited by the opening of UC Merced this fall. So excited that you probably read in the news, 9,000 students applied to Merced. They will take on about 700 undergraduates and about 300 graduate students. No, sorry, 200 transfers and 100 graduate students. 9,000 applied. And they applied from all over the state. You might think, well, they applied from the San Joaquin Valley. No. They applied from the Bay Area. They applied from Imperial Valley. They applied from San Diego. They applied from North State. They applied from Los Angeles. So there's this excitement about the relationship of the University of California with the state is something that was implanted in me in these visits. I heard from the entertainment industry. They were complaining about downloading. None of us download, right? They complained about illegal downloading of movies and music. And they're asking, how can the University of California help the entertainment industry stop this illegal activity, right? They weren't asking the police. They weren't asking the Federal Communications Commission. They were asking, the entertainment industry was asking me how to do that. The expectations of us, of what we do, are enormous. And so in one sense, I felt this enormous pride. I thought, gee whiz, this is our institution. And on the other side, I felt a little bit overawed by the by the quantity of expectation that's out there for the university. So it's been an interesting year. It's also been a tough year, and you know that. Let me remind you that when I became president on October the 2nd of 2003, we were in the middle of a recall, a governor's recall. We didn't know who the governor was going to be. We didn't know whether it would be Gray Davis, whether it would be Bustamante, or whether it would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'd faced 3 years in a row of budget cuts, serious budget cuts in the university, real budget cuts. We had increased the number of students by about 16 to 17%, and we had taken in dollars a budget cut of 15 to 16%. So if you put those two together, we had taken a budget cut of about 1/3 of our full budget in the previous 3 years. And we were facing another budget cut last year. So not only was it a sort of exciting time, but it was also a very sobering time for me to realize that there was something that we had to do immediately to stop the continual bleeding, and you've all suffered from it. Whether you're staff, you know you've suffered from it, or students, you've seen the size of the classes getting larger, less access to your faculty. It's all there, it's true. And that's how we accommodated the budget cuts. And so I realized, one, I had to look at the future of the university and think about 10 to 20 years out. But I also realized that we had to stop this bleeding, or the university would just become another university. And as I said to the governor, if the University of California becomes just another university, the state of California will become just another state. And that actually rang through to him. I asked him whether we could put a long-range budget plan in place, and after some arguments, he agreed. And so we put together what you've probably read as the Compact, which is a budget plan for the university for the next 5 to 6 years, which for the first time in 4 years gives us an increased budget next year. And that's good news. It's good news, I hope, for all of us. It will allow us to reduce the size of the student-to-faculty ratio. It'll allow raises for staff and for faculty for the first time in 4 years. And it will allow us to start thinking about the future of the university. What do we want to be when we grow up? What's the university want to look like when there's 50 million people in the state of California? How do we address, should we have other campuses? Should we have more campuses? Should we build other campuses like Merced, which you all know was an extremely difficult thing to do? Or should we grow the campuses that we have and deal with all of the issues associated with the relationships with the community that you might have read that Berkeley is going through right now? How do we do this? Do we need another school of medicine? Do we need 2 schools of medicine to serve the Central Valley? What other professional schools do we need? How can we best serve the state of California? How can we create the jobs that will then get filled by our graduates to make the state of California the most competitive place in the world? California is viewed by the rest of the world as the most diverse, the most innovative, the most creative, and to some extent the most off-the-wall place in the world. And we are. That's why most of us are here. That's why I'm here. Because it is innovative, it is creative, it is diverse, it is exciting. And the University of California in many ways manifests that. And so the last message that I should give to you before I open the floor for comments is that the thing that I became aware of is that we, you and I, have been handed this incredible legacy. We are the finest university in the world, and I'll defend that if you want to understand why I say that. It's really true. We are the finest university in the world. And we've been handed this by our predecessors. And it's an awesome responsibility. And California today is an exciting, innovative place with remarkable economy. Not to say that everybody is treated fairly. They're not. You know it and I know it. And to some extent it's our job to fix that. But California is the place which does address its problems, unlike many other places in this country and in this world. So we've been handed this legacy, and it's our job to hand on to our children and our children's children the same or better than we were given. And so that's what keeps me awake at night, among all the other details that you know about. Our job is to maintain the University of California at the top of the game, because we have a responsibility to our state, to the society. And the best way that we can do that is maintain the excellence, make sure that the education that we deliver to our young people is the best in the world, make sure the research that we do is the cutting edge, best research we possibly can, and all of us contribute to that. However, whatever your jobs or what your majors are, all of us contribute to that. And it's only that way that California can actually be and continue to be the only place in the world that most of us want to live. Thank you.
My name is Mary Sullivan, and given understanding what's been happening with the university system since the early 90s with the budget, and the fact that California is still in a budgetary moment, so to speak, what is your take on what the future of the master plan for higher education?
I am a huge supporter of the master plan for higher education. I believe that the master plan, I know from talking with people throughout the world, that the master plan in California is the envy of the nation, the master plan for higher education. It conceives of allowing a track for every high school graduate in the state of California, a track to go to higher education, either the community colleges, the CSU system, or the UC system. And the strength of it, although it's not perfect and it always requires people to work at it, the strength of it is allowing the motion between those individual institutions, so that we transfer students from the community colleges to UC, and they thrive. They do extremely well. It is now, I can tell you firsthand that the governor now believes that the master plan is a marvelous plan for higher education. We need a master plan for K through 12 as well, because we have serious problems there. But the master plan, we should be continually tweaking it, but I believe that it really serves the state of California very well.
But you would say that you think it's alive and well?
It's alive and well. It's a dynamic plan. It's always being tested. It's always being pushed, but it is alive and well. It conceives that the University of California is the research university for the state, and does what research universities are supposed to do. It conceives that the CSU is a degree granting university, not the research university, but degree granting, and the community colleges supply either a track to either CSU or UC, or educate in trades and other skills. And it's terrific. It's not working, there are problems with it, but yeah.
Thank you for meeting with us today. My name is Carolyn Buckmaster.
I know you, Carol.
I'm a medical and cancer researcher. Can you please comment on how the university, to use your words, can stay at the top of its game when we haven't had, the employees here haven't had any raises in the last 2 years, and especially in the researchers, we have like a 30% turnover. I'd like if you could comment on that.
Sure. I am enormously grieved by the fact that we've gone through 4 years of budget cuts now. This is the 4th year of budget cut that we've gone through. This next year is the first year of budget increases. And we have, and I have put it as a top priority, raises. And in the governor's compact, we have laid out a plan, he and I have agreed on a plan for salary increases that will bring faculty and staff back to competitive rates. We can't do it in 1 year because it's still a tough year. But at least we have more money now than we did last year. And we have a plan for the next 5 years to bring salaries back into the competitive rates for both faculty and staff. So I will not, I can't, no one can defend the tough times that the state of California has gone through. And I'm pleased that the governor has honored the compact so that we will have raises for staff next year.
Thank you. Stage left?
Yeah.
Thank you, President Dines, for taking my question. My name is Greg Cox. I work with TRIO programs, specifically Upward Bound. It's an outreach program on the campus. I apologize if I'm jumping the gun on an email I received. It was from Arnold Mitchum from DC. It was in concern of a possible cut to the outreach programs, specifically Upward Bound and Educational Talent Search.
Right.
And the word that we're hearing is possibly February 7th, there's going to be a message that the program or the outreach programs will be cut in a year and a half.
I don't know about that, actually.
Meaning at 2005, 2006.
Okay.
If that does occur, what is your reaction to that, and how do you feel about it?
Let me make a more, I don't know specifically about the cuts to particular programs. Let me make some comments about the outreach programs in the University of California. The outreach programs in the governor's budget were not in the governor's budget this year. They were not part of the compact, and they were added on at the end of last year's budget. I've made it clear to the governor that I am going to advocate very strongly to maintain, at least maintain, hopefully grow the outreach programs, because they are indeed part of the investment for the state of California. He knows it. He knows I'm going to be out there. Students are going to be, next week or the week after, are going to be up in Sacramento. The regents, at the regents meeting last week, passed a resolution that said outreach, or academic preparation, which is a better word to use because it describes better what we do. Academic preparation is an integral part of the University of California and not an add-on. That resolution was passed by the regents unanimously last week, and we have made the commitment, the University of California has made the commitment at this stage that regardless of what we finally pry loose from the state, we will commit $12 million of our own dollars to academic preparation. So the commitment to maintaining those programs, programs that actually show that they work. I don't know specifically about the programs that you're describing, but programs that actually make a difference in bringing young people, in preparing young people so that they will be eligible for the University of California. That will be the yardstick. We are committed to those, and we will somehow pry loose the money to do it. Okay?
Hi, President. My name is Luke Janes. I'm a graduate student here.
What department are you?
TEP, Teacher Education.
Yes.
And well, I'm glad that you agree that the UC should be a place where we can address social issues, especially in California. And I also understand that we've had decreasing budgets in the past.
Right.
However, we have to make choices within the budget that we're given, of course. And I wonder if you could comment on the choice that was made to raise the Chancellor of UCSD, for example's salary by, I believe it was $70,000 that previous year, as opposed to, while at the same time paying poverty wages to various service workers across the UC system.
Okay. That's a leading question, as the rest of you recognize. It's my job to maintain and grow the excellence on this campus. You heard me earlier say that if the University of California becomes just another university, the state of California becomes just another state. So my job is to find the very best people I can possibly find. Right? I won't compromise on quality. And the market out there, I'll give you a number that's even closer to home. My equivalent in the University of Texas earns twice what I do. And so when people come to this state as chancellors, and someone on a different campus would ask me a different question of a different chancellor than UCSD, when people come here, they take a salary cut compared with what they could earn in the rest of the country. And they come here, I hope, because they're committed to the public institution that is the University of California. But it's my job to find the very best people I possibly can, and that costs money. And I will maintain the level of excellence up and down the ranks as best I can with the money that I have available. Okay?
Thank you, and I do feel that we do have I hope that we do have an excellent chancellor, and I also believe that
I believe you have an excellent chancellor. I'm a little afraid that she's going to demonstrate how incompetent I was over the past 7 years.
Thank you, and I believe also she would have come here not for the money, but for the reasons.
Okay.
Being a chancellor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matt Herrick. I'm a student here at UCSD, and I thought it was really poignant what you said earlier that the student population of the UC system doesn't really look like the population of California.
Yep.
Like California, it's pretty, I don't know if it's already hit the level or it's soon to be hitting it, that we're going to be 50% Latino. And if you just walk around the campus, you'll see a surprising lack of minorities, and not even minorities anymore, soon to be the majority of California. And I'm wondering how we can increase diversity at all the UC campuses, in the midst of dealing with Proposition 209 and also the UC's policy on not using affirmative action. And
It's not a UC policy. It's against the law to use affirmative action. Okay. So, have you finished the
Yeah,
question?
so
I'm sorry, I jumped on you. I didn't mean to jump on you.
Yeah, so how can we increase diversity over the next
Okay.
few years?
Every way we can think of. Let me give you a few examples. Preuss School. Right? The Preuss School is something that was created here at UCSD. I don't know how many of you know. Some of you I know about the Preuss School in great detail. That's a charter school aimed at preparing students so that they are competitive. And we enrolled how many students from the Preuss School this fall? 17 students that came out of the Preuss School. UCSD enrolled this year. Now, if you look at those students, boy, are they diverse. So there's an example. We've instituted in the University of California, the top 4% of every high school class in the state is eligible now for the University of California, independent of all those other things. And the logic being the following: if someone rises to the top of a really terrible high school, we have no idea how good they are, but we should bring them in and let them soar, right? Which is very different than saying you got to get this on your GPAs, you got to get this on your SATs. So this is an attempt to try to broaden the scope of the students. We've instituted a comprehensive review in our admissions. So we look now in our admissions programs here at UCSD, at Berkeley, at Santa Barbara, at UCLA. We look at things other than grades. We look at the quality of the school they went to. We look at whether they are first generation, college. Did their parents, did their grandparents go to college or not? We look at some manifestation that this student is able to overcome adversity in some way. If you ask me, I would like to use affirmative action, but it's against the law. I would use it. I would use it with these other things. I would. I'd put it back tomorrow. But what has happened since Prop 209 is we've been thinking about other ways to enhance the diversity. And these other ways are the Price School and the 4% and the comprehensive review. And it's forced us to think more broadly what we expect of our students. But the fact is that what we really have to get down is into the schools, into the K through 12, and dig in there, change the curricula, get better teachers. My commitment is get better science and math teachers into the schools, and I've announced a program of getting better science and math teachers. Get better science and math teachers into those schools where there isn't one credentialed science and math teacher in the whole school. Get them in there, prepare these. This is going to take 10 years. Get them in there, prepare the students so that when they come to 11th grade and they start writing the SATs, they're going to do just fine. Get down to the heart of the problem rather than put a Band-Aid on it. That's my view. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Hi there. My name is Benjamin Balthazar. I'm a graduate student in the literature department.
Literature, okay?
I'm glad to know that you say the master plan is alive and well. I have some questions about it, however. Some of them were addressed earlier about diversity, but given the rising costs of tuition and student fees for undergraduates and graduate students, it would seem to me that it is going to be difficult to actually have all of Californians able to afford to attend the UC system. And the second question I have, I was very active last year on the budget cut campaign here and also region-wide, as some other people here in the audience as well were. And we were fairly upset that we were not actually included in the decision-making or actually have our opinions solicited while the decision with the governor was being made. And so it seems to me that students are seeing the brunt of the impact, as well as employees, but also are not being asked for their opinions about how they feel about this when decisions are being made at the statewide level. So I was wondering what you plan to do to include students and employees as well into the legislative process and also assist them in their efforts to secure funding for the university. We felt like we were actually out alone without a significant amount of help. Thank you.
There were several questions in there.
Yes. Okay.
You cheated, but let me try to dance around some of those questions. Let me try to answer some of those questions. It is true. It is true that the discussions that I had with the governor were one-on-one. It's absolutely true. The president of the university and the governor of the state of California discussed and negotiated the compact. There's no doubt of that. Now, going forward, I've put a planning process in place, and I've asked the following, and we've gone through the first rounds of those planning, and we have looked at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that the University of California faces as we go forward for the next 20 years. We've had those sessions with the chancellors, with the regents. We had the regents at a retreat up in Lake Arrowhead, with staff, with students, with alumni, with industrial leaders. We've had with everybody I can think of. And what came out of that is very interesting, and it's starting to formulate my thinking about what the university should look like 20 years from now, how we get there, and how do we afford to get there, because the state contribution keeps shrinking. Keeps shrinking, okay? We have only 3 sources of revenue for students. 1 is the state, 2 are fees, and 3 is philanthropy. Philanthropy is teeny tiny. The state has dropped equivalent from $1,500 to not $15,000 to $9,000 per student. That's the bind we're in, okay? And so that's why student fees have gone up, plain and simply. This planning process I've put in place has on it faculty, students, regents. And I've charged them with some questions which they'll come back to, and staff, of course. And I've charged them with questions that they will come back and answer. So it's a collection. Now, it's not everybody. We're not going to tap everybody here, but there are representatives from the constituencies of the university on this planning process. And I've asked them to come back with, I mean, I have my own view, I have my own vision of what the university should look like. I'm asking other people what it should look like. How do we get there when there's 50 million people in the state of California? And how do we afford to in an ever diminishing state support? So, and we continue to have group meetings like this, for me to listen. I travel the state. I listen to people as to what they want. I've listened to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and I'm trying to put all that into a plan for the university. Now, it's not to say that everybody is going to have their opinions solicited, because I can't listen to everybody, but I can listen to people who are representative of lots of groups of people. That answers a couple of your questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ned Fosick, I'm staff. I'm having a little trouble with the faculty not getting increases or raises. Maybe it's a semantics kind of thing, but they're still getting cap reviews and they're still getting
That's correct.
scale above scale.
Yeah, there's good, yes.
Why is that going on?
For the same reason that staff get promotions and get raises in their promotions.
Well, normally if a staff gets promotions under these budget times, it's because they're reclassed.
As are the faculty reclassed. There are faculty ladders.
Oh, okay, then maybe I just didn't understand the
Okay.
cap review, but
Yeah. The reviews, faculty are reviewed for promotion every 3 years. And there are ladders. There are faculty ladders. And they're reviewed. Steps. Thank you. Faculty steps. Thank you, Jorge. Faculty steps. And every 3 years, the faculty are reviewed for that, just
Okay.
as staff are reviewed for promotion. And when someone is promoted, they get a raise most of the time for those promotions.
But for staff to be promoted, they do need to be reclassed, take on more responsibility.
Right.
And you're saying that's the same thing with the faculty.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Yelcher Kalmain. I work in psychiatry here. I'm in research. I'm also the president of UPTI. And one of the long-term, I've been at the university as a career employee since 1989. I was a student here before that in 81. My parents are a faculty person here. So I've been here since I came from another country, which I did also. And so I've seen a long-term evolution of what it means to work here at the University of California. And our real concern is, we agree very much that there isn't a short-term fix, but we've seen it really change from a place where people really wanted to come and make a career, quality people who shared the mission and really said, I'll take a little bit less pay because this is what I believe in,
Yes.
to a place where people just can't afford to do that anymore. Among my colleagues, we just see massive turnover. There's been a change in industry where there's now real biotech jobs that people can go and they come here and work a couple of years and they leave.
Right.
And it's really become more of a revolving door employer as opposed to an employer of choice. And I understand, perhaps, I just want to make sure I understand correctly, the compact has these raises of 0% for last year, then 3%, and then 3%, and then I think there's a couple more years that may or may not happen. The problem is I want to kind of go off, and if you can answer, go off from the previous question, we haven't gotten these step increases. 2 or 3 years ago, the university stopped giving all the staff step increases, and now, to get step increases, it's going to be taken out of our 3% COLA. So that means even with the governor's proposal, which is better than 0%, the staff that stay here will barely be making inflation. So the problem is I understand it's going to take a longer time period, but I would like to know what the solution is to really get back to the point where people want to stay here, even though we understand it's going to take a little bit of cost and it's not going to be what we get paid at Amgen or Genentech, and that's fine, but the 0.334 and then no step increases year after year, because we used to get these step increases every year and they've been taken away from us, doesn't seem like it's a solution that's going to not allow us to compromise on quality, at least in my lab where I work, and I just see turnover all the time, and I spend half my time training. Sorry, it's a complicated question.
I don't have a quick solution to that. To some extent, what you're talking about in terms of the step increases is a negotiated issue with represented folks, and I can't speak to that for reasons that you understand. But that having been said, we have, for the first time in 4 years, increased salaries, and how those are distributed will be pretty much determined by each of the campuses. And so that will become a campus issue, or in your case, a system-wide negotiated issue, because you're represented. You're represented. So that'll be a system-wide negotiated issue. In other cases, it'll be an individual issue for individual staff or for faculty and all that. If I look at salaries, and I look at a plan which we've been putting together for increased salaries, it is going to take several years to get back up at the 3 and 4% level. And there are assumptions about inflation that are in there, which I hope are correct. And God willing, the state of California's economy will improve, and when the state of California's economy improves, the governor and I have an agreement that there's going to be more money there. But that's all the money we're getting now, which is more than we've had over the past 3 years.
Most of us aren't funded on state funds, though.
I understand that. I understand that.
This is a collective bargaining unit discussion, and we encourage you to really have that discussion further with our UCSD Human
Right.
Resources Department. We know that there may be more that we can add to the discussion on that question. Thank you. Stage left.
Hello, President Dines. My name is Annie Flager. I'm with Business and Financial Services. I was the chair for the UCSD Staff Association in 99-2000. I'd like to thank you and your staff for your support during the proposal for the pilot program for the staff advisor to the regents, and I was very pleased, as were many other people, other staff people across UC system, that proposal actually passed, and it will actually start next fiscal year.
It will start immediately.
Immediately?
It will start immediately.
So I'm really excited about that, especially with the second year of the pilot program being that anyone under the directorship level can apply and see if they can get that position. I'm not quite sure if I'm correct on that, but...
Well, it's a pilot. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. What I do know is, and the case that I made to the regents, is that there were times, and I'll probably insult several of the senior administration in the room right now, but there are times when I wanted to learn something about buildings and grounds, I went to a staff member and asked him or her the question. So it's been obvious to me for the 15 years that I've been on this campus, it's been obvious to me that the staff of this campus have a lot of expertise, a lot of skill, and a lot of commitment to the well-being of this university, and they can bring knowledge and expertise to the regents. And so I made that case. It was Ward Connerly that actually tried to originally propose staff representative, and I made the case and supported that. And the regents last week approved a 2-year pilot program to have staff representatives sitting on 2 of the major committees, Committee on Educational Policy and the Committee on Buildings and Grounds. So my hope is that the staff that are on those committees are so outstanding that the regents will become so dependent upon them that they will not think twice about expanding the program.
I'm sorry, that wasn't my question, so I guess this is probably a comment.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is, one of the issues that came up was tuition remission for staff, for spouse, partner, and dependents, and that kind of died when the budget issues arrived
Yes.
in the state of California. And I don't know, it would be nice to hear from your point of view if that's a dead issue, because I have a lot of people who approach me on campus and ask me, they tell me that if that happens where there is tuition remission for their dependents, spouse, or partner, that it would engender more loyalty and more long-term time as employee here at UC.
No, it's not a dead issue. With the monies that we have, we sort of look at what, where we can put. Right now our focus is to put as much as we can to subsidize healthcare costs, because they're just awful and going up. And so if we take whatever money we have left over after decreasing the student to faculty ratio, putting the raises in, doing a little bit of deferred maintenance on buildings that are looking like they're going to fall down, and looking at what we think we can put into healthcare, increasing healthcare costs. There isn't much left, but it's not a dead issue. I mean, it's a really good idea. We just don't have the money for it right now.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that in a better time we can come back and revisit it. But we can't right now.
Yeah, my children are 2 and 4, so
Well, then hold your
hopefully
breath.
Thank you very much.
Pray for a robust economy.
These will be our last 3 questions, so stage right.
Well, I think it's appropriate then that mine is the last question.
No, there's 2 more.
Oh, I'm Jackie Fowler from Chemistry, Biochemistry, and I'm the current chair of Staff Association.
Oh.
And Annie essentially just said what I was going to say, and we really want to thank you for your support of, having staff be a part of the Regent decision-making process.
You don't have to thank me. I think it's an added asset, quite honestly. I just have to convince the regents of it.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Clement Damon. I'm from the physics department.
I know who you are. You're down on the first floor, up and down 2 floors from my lab.
Well, I just wanted to, I'm not talking about, I want to talk about the transportation budget. The transportation department here on the campus, it seems that, I don't really know, I don't know, is there any way you can check the figures to see what the transportation budget, how they're using the money? It just seems like they're selling more spaces than they have, Where is the money going? How is it benefiting us?
The Chancellor's listening carefully to this. This is a campus issue. You should raise it. The Chancellor's here.
Okay.
So raise it.
All right. I'm in the Vanpool, and the Vanpool has been seeing some radical changes here in the last few months. I don't know if that's campus-wide, but I think that it is, because I read something about some of the 15-passenger vans being unsafe and so on and so forth. Well, I was just wondering, how do you see the transportation department growing here on campus and among all the other ones, so that maybe one day that we can have a reasonable parking rate, a reasonable way to get to work without having to cut off our left arm to get to work.
Yeah, that is a campus question, and Chancellor Fox heard it very clearly. I can vouch for your integrity because you're in the physics department. But let me say, from the day I became chancellor on this campus, from the day I was chancellor on this campus, I have campaigned and fought and cajoled and politicked for a trolley to come up to this campus. And Joe Watson will confirm that I have been pushing that. The trolley will someday come to the campus. And I even heard a date from John Woods, it was 2010 to 2012. Now, years ago, when I was knee-high to a toad, it was 26, and I thought that was a long time. But there have to be things like that. We have to. I think the Steve Relier's organization, I think it was Steve's organization, did a masterful job about 2 years ago of having sort of loop transportation throughout university town University Town. And you know, you see these buses now, and it's relieved some of the transportation. I know it's not going to relieve all your problems, but having a trolley come through the campus, there's a plan to do it now. We know exactly where it's going to go. Just hold on till we get the trolley, okay?
We will address that question on the campus for you. Thank you very much. And our last question of the day,
Well, I guess I'm lucky to get to be the last one. Huh? Hi, President Dines.
How are
I'm
you?
Darlene Willis. I'm fine.
I know who
Thank
you are.
you. I'm here today as the president of UGMA Network, as you know, which is
Yep.
the Alliance of the Black Faculty, Staff, Students, Alum, and Community. And as I talk with my colleagues and my counterparts at the other UC, we certainly are noticing that there is a decline for
Yep.
the African American population in particular, certainly across the board for all minorities, but in particular for African Americans. And I was wondering if there is something in progress on the UC's level, statewide, to address this issue, and if there was any recommendations that you would have for UGMA Network. We certainly are in a proactive mode, and we're working with our campus, but it certainly is across the board an issue at all UCs.
Yes, it certainly is, especially in the African American community on this campus. It's not on this campus, in the University of California. It's at a tipping point, and it's something that I've paid some special attention to. Let me ask you, and I'm beginning to see what I think is a way to do this. And let me ramble on a little bit and see if it makes sense to you. Not if it makes sense, okay? I've visited several communities. In the Oakland area, there's a very large African American community, and I met with them, and they said, "How do we do that? You got to help us get our young people ready so that they can be eligible for the University of California, and then you got to give the space. You got to get the spaces for it." And a way through this is coming, and that is, although Prop 209 will forbid us from doing certain things, Prop 209 does not forbid us from helping communities help themselves. Right? So if we can help communities, look at the Preuss School. Why does the Preuss School work? The Preuss School works because the parents are paying attention to their kids. And then now it's cool to get an A. Right? So if we can help the communities and deliver the tools, the A through G courses, the advisors, the things like that, if we can help the communities help themselves through either, however it is, through churches, through citizens groups, however the community likes to pull itself together, so that the community, with the tools that we can deliver, all they have to do is ask. We can tell them what to ask for. If we can help them build their own community, I believe they will be ready. So deciding which are the communities, and in some cases it's a church community, in other cases it's a community center community. Helping those communities get the right tools, get the right advisors, get the right advisees, and reward academic performance as opposed to making it uncool. I think we can actually break through this. Making sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense for students.
Yes.
It definitely makes sense for students, and I know of organizations that are willing to cooperate and
we're looking for,
too.
and Winston Dobie, Vice President Winston Dobie, and Linda Williams, right there, have been working on identifying communities in California.
Okay, that's helpful. And then what about for the staff and faculty of increasing those numbers?
That requires a group which we're creating to look at the. Let me rewind several years. Several years ago, there was a question of gender equity in faculty, right? And the standard line was, well, there aren't enough women in the pool. We did a survey, and looked at what the University of California was producing in terms of women that were going into faculty positions, and the answer was that wasn't true. As soon as we proved it wasn't true, the hiring of women increased. Because that was no longer a good argument and nobody could hide behind it. That now has to be done, and we don't know what the answer is going to be on that survey, but that now has to be done for underrepresented groups.
Okay.
And my provost, Marcy Greenwood, is beginning that survey now.
Well, Udema Network is here to assist in any way in being
Thank you.
proactive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Dines.
Thank you.